to these meetings for a little while now to try to get the spray foam stuff straightened out. We have, I was working in the spray foam industry for a local manufacturer that had produced a spray foam that actually passed the old fire test. So it did not need a fire coating. Now, at the time, codes were not really looking at that particular information or making the spray foamers put in the fire coatings. So we're going to try to keep this quick, touch on a couple of points. Got some handouts to give everybody to go over. So, dear Code Council and distinguished guests, spray foam inspections is currently a voluntary standard in the green building and spray foam and coatings industries. Standardization of America's residential spray foam market and the spray foam inspections industry is long overdue. Here in the USA, climate zones 2 and 3, an R38 may be acceptable when using fiberglass or cellulose in the ceiling, but not spray foam in the roof line. When we build an enclosure to the roof line of the attic space with spray foam insulation, the building's dynamics change. So then the new building dynamics needs to be inspected and verified as a whole system. Proper air exchanges, ventilation, building safety, and indoor air quality are all what homeowners expect and deserve from the spray foam installers and spray foam manufacturers. Most of the chemicals used during spray foam installations are the same chemicals that have been attributed with the highest amount of workplace asthma. The inexperienced spray foam installer may apply these volatile organic compounds improperly to the building enclosure. This can actually cause severe health issues to the homeowners. These same chemical signatures are now being found in the homeowner's body, their indoor air, and even contaminating all of their worldly possessions, even their pets that were in the building during spray. Sometimes the chemicals installed are called off ratio or off temperature. Off ratio is a lack of either the isocyanate or the resin in the finished product. Off temperature normally refers to the chemicals not reacting properly due to either being too hot or too cold during application. A procedure to fix minor issues when off-temp or off-ratio chemicals has been installed in polluting the air in the building is now available to the building industry. We've created remediation parameters for the spray foam volatile organic compound vapors to be removed from the building's indoor air, and also I've created databases for tracking of these jobs and officials to reference and evaluate the findings for these installations. So, what we have here is I have one of our partners is Energywise, one for Mark, one for Kenny. It also has some fold-outs. I want Mr. Mark here, Bola, and all the other things. Yeah, I've got them for everybody here. The Energywise, we have buildings designed as a stamp to sign off on everything. Mr. Rick, who's with the Spray Foam Association, actually had Energywise do his house, 3,000 square feet and $700 a year.
In central Pennsylvania, 3,000 square feet,
Okay,
$700 a year.
A $60 a month bill is going to pretty much $700 is going to be a pretty inexpensive bill for everybody. Pretty manageable at a nickel a foot to run a building. Pass some of these around. And everyone's passing around to y'all as well. So I just want to touch a couple of things in the pamphlet here. First of all, a year ago I was in the Spray Foam magazine. Just put a little flyer out on that. Just want to read a snippet from that. While working in the spray foam industry, Price learned about the numerous types and densities of foams, fire coatings, building codes, and competitors' products. Price began to see patterns of issues within the foam installation industry one of the greatest issues was code compliance. So, that is a little history on me. Second piece of information is an article from the Green Building Advisor.com. It has class action lawsuits, multi-district litigation. They're coming down against some of these manufacturers that aren't keeping care of their chemicals. They're not paying attention to who they're selling them to. They have distribution points. They'll sell the chemicals to the distribution points, and some of these distribution points are not really worrying about what's happening with the chemicals as they're being installed. So, if the chemicals are installed, the next flyer is the Odorox hydroxyl group. Now, another second partner I have here is Odorox. The Odorox is a free radical oxygen molecule. What happens is it has a frequency of the sun, and it uses ultraviolet light and a particular crystal and optic and vibration to break apart a water molecule to an H and an HO. Now the HO is a free radical oxygen molecule that has to combine with something. When it does find something, in the case of spray foam, it has to disassemble the molecule that's been vaporized into the air or the gas. So this can actually, Odorox can remove every element from the periodic table except for fluorine, and you're not going to find that in spray foam. Next handout is the EPA examined health concerns over the two spray foam chemicals. Seem pretty logical. Now, LEED certifications. For a LEED certification in the construction and management plan, they do have parameters for indoor air quality to be tested for LEED certifications. Also, if we want to factor in LEED certifications into the green buildings and the codes and compliance, once we get a home to, let's say we have the R38 is the R value that we have to meet. LEED certifications have, you put in extra insulation. Put in more, put in 20% more, and we'll give you a bonus platinum name with your LEED certification. So now we're effectively turning an R38 into an R46. Then divide that by either the closed cell or the open cell, and you'll see how many inches would have to be installed. Roughly 6.6 inches would be to get to that level. Now, Richard Rue, who does our Energywise system, is able to sign off on homes like Mr. Ricks and get a nickel a foot. And he's not putting in a 30 or a 38. Matter of fact, if everyone's heard of Make It Right with Brad Pitt, they don't have an R30 in their buildings either. I inspected them, I installed their foams. I'm very aware, I'm willing to go out and take pictures. Matter of fact, if these homeowners have 3 inches of closed cell in their roof, well, 3.5. NCFI just passed the wind upload coefficient at 142.5 pounds. Now, that is great to get the wind discounts and secondary barrier water intrusion discount. Another partner we have is called Foam Seal. Similar to spray foam, 2 components add together, but when they add together, it makes a 2.7 pound foam adhesive. So it's tested as an adhesive. That foam, without any nails, has 232 pounds of wind upload and can be used with any spray foam. So in conjunction, since we live in a hot and humid climate that's also, Hurricane Alley, we need to factor in mitigation. So the last page on the left is also the Uniform Mitigation Verification Inspection Form, which I know in the past we have discussed mitigation and making these insurance companies comply for homeowners. I was working with George Kellett. I was talking to George Kellett about this exact same thing. And George told me, he's like, Eric, I called my insurance company after the storm. Unlimited supply of building materials. Ask his insurance, what does he have to install to get discounts on his insurance? And they said, build how you want, it doesn't matter. And that was just incredibly wrong. So you can see that we have some issues with our insurance as well. So I have a couple of flyers for the Odorox and the Foam Seal to show the adhesion. So if you're in the area like we are, that would be something that you would want to do. Now, how do we enforce these rules and regulations? In the 2012 legislation to impact contractor licensing, Act 193, effectively lower the amount, formerly of $7,500 down to $1,500 for doing home improvement. So, in effect, that basically just took all the spray foam contractors and forced them, if they're doing work over $1,500, that they have to be an actual contractor with actual licenses and everything. They're not cutting lawns here, they're installing chemicals. So at $1,500 for the minimum, it's obvious that we could enforce that amount to make them be a contractor that we can track and have a number and a code and a certification. We strongly recommend a certification from the Spray Foam Association for these gentlemen, because there is a journeyman stature where they have to work their way up. Now, for people who are already out there, been spraying for 10 years, there should be some method to go and sign them off by the manufacturer themselves. So we don't have to wait till 2015 to get everybody certified like they should have been, per their own ICCS paperwork specifically says that they're supposed to be certified. One of the last documents here I have is not actually from this code book, it's from the IGCC. It's table 80402 for the maximum concentration of air pollutants. Mike, one question I have is, these guys are spraying the chemicals in the roof line, creating an envelope, they're not putting in fresh air return, bless you. So, is it possible, I know that we've excluded certain, like chapter 1 of this book, or that chapter of this book. Is it by any way possible to get parameters for indoor air quality so that we can have parameters of 500 parts per million as the standard for chemical toxicity of the building, for a sick building? And then just some support information. Minnesota, 10,000 lakes, Unified Code Council. It is the responsibility of the spray foam installation contractor and the applicator to comply with the manufacturer's installation requirements for their product. I mean, that sounds like it should be a no-brainer, but I just had to put that in there. Also, State of Connecticut, Daniel Malloy, Governor, his point of view on spray foam, the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation, his concept of the residential property and casualty insurance. And then the last two pieces, this is Lsucc foam. This is a product that was sold locally in Louisiana, made locally in Louisiana, with local sugarcane sugar. It does not need the fire coating due to having such a high level of sucrose formed a charring agent or carbon inside the foam. So I would go and hit foam with a MAC gas and just show people and hold it in my hand that it would burn. Now, I was releasing toxic fumes, and that was really stupid of me to do that, okay? But I was young, and I was learning a pretty new industry. And then the last thing that I want to just mention is while I was a manufacturer, representative, I was using these R values. Now, you'll hear all this, confusion about R values and depths, and people talking about their performance and all these different things. If we have an R value for mass insulation like closed cell, that's required to hit, and then we have it for the more permeable or reflective, like a fat insulation. These obviously perform differently. The main reason to get the spray foam installed is because it performs so much better and it fills all the cracks. So, in conclusion, I just ask that, everybody look at this information, absorb it. If you have any questions, there's extra cards in there. I'm really looking to get guys who are certified to be a certified inspector to come in and take plans, put them through Orleans, put them through where we can look at the plans, see what they're supposed to be installing, and verify. Take their, my software is actually going to have all their insurance and stuff on file, everything that we need. If the homeowner ever has a problem, we can go back, look at the database, pull out the information, see who sprayed it, whose insurance is tied to it, and we can really give the homeowners a lot of security. Thank you very much. I hope this was helpful for everyone.
Thank you, Eric. Question?
Walter Gary.